It seems like I may have found a interim solution for my issues with going live here. Now, but I need to determine if I'm really live or not. I don't know how to do that. Is there anybody here who can provide me with some sort of confirmation that I am going live? I don't know, maybe go on, let's see, maybe go on to Messenger and provide me with some feedback. I think this is the chat that I can use. Yes. Social comments display here. Click them to showcase on stream. I'm going to actually take a look at I am live on my YouTube channel. Oh no, this is today. I'm sorry. It's been very frustrating the last several days trying to get this thing to work, as I've been struggling with this with the streaming software that I've been using, and I really want to showcase the instruments that I built, one or maybe both of which were for Barry Thompson. Bit of a history. So I don't know if anybody remembers this. This was actually, I really like the design, the shape of it. It's except that I made a whole ton of errors on here. One was that the nut, I've never been able to cut the nut correctly. One, it's a multi-scale. So this was actually one of the first full construction completely from scratch builds that I've ever done. And in that regard, I even cut the fret slots, and I didn't exactly do the greatest job either of doing that, because I went to a website where they have this. You can put in the measurements, the scale measurements for the neck, and it'll do multi-scale. And then I printed it out on sheets of paper. Where what I should have done was simply taken. I think it's a 25-inch scale on the high strings and 26.5 on the low strings. I should have just taken the fretboards example that I've got. I chose to do the 9th fret, I think. No, the 10th fret. 10th fret as being the matching point. And then from there, you just have to measure at the top where like the 26 and a half inch frets would go. The bottom would be 25 and a half inch. You could have done it. It would have been a much easier exercise, except that I chose to stick the damn paper down, and it didn't print on one sheet of paper. I had to figure out how to put it together. And so I'm giving you this history because I wanted to show you exactly where I've come to with this most recent build. This was done back in, I want to say it was early in 2021. And the pre-cancer, it was during COVID. It was a crazy time. But it would prove to get crazier. And And so this has got a black limba on top here. I guess you can see that in that camera. A black limba on top, the maple neck that goes through, and then it's an African mahogany on the back. And like I said, there's a bunch of mistakes. One of them is that it is really awkward to get to drill through a body when you're doing it by hand. It was a complete pain in the ass. And then put the ferrules in. The other thing is drilling the holes to guide the wires through. And if you notice, it's like this is a feature now, but that's where I took the wrong angle with a really long drill bit, and it popped out about like 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch early. And so then taking some maple sawdust and mixing it up with glue and plugging it up, and like I said, now it's a feature. I've got this is my first experiment with the Tosna Bassi Fluence pickups, and then I didn't have the right solder, of course. I had like a higher temperature solder for, I think it's for electrical work, not electronics. And so it's a little bit wonky. So, but still, it sounds really amazing. The frets are more or less in the right spot. There's a couple places where if you take a look really closely, you'll see where I moved the fret. And then the last part of my shame is how far how deep the headstock is. And fortunately, this headstock hasn't broken off. And I guess I could always, I should, because I've got these. I took plugs of something, some kind of wood, and I used them to fill the gap for the Steinberger tuners. And this is the other first, it was the first time using the Steinberger tuners. So I think the reason why I didn't go for putting more wood on top was because I was using a Ipe, the Brazilian cherry wood, on the front of the headstock, and then I had a little bit of originally there was a pistachio fretboard, which sadly as I was trying to plane it down, I planed it down super thin, and then I had to plane it all the way down to the maple, and then put on this walnut. Or is it walnut? Yeah, I think it was walnut that I put on here, and I dyed it. With a dark stain, and so lots of mistakes. But as I was documenting all this and going through it, my friend and a lot of your friends, Barry Thompson, saw this and thought to said he really liked the way it looked and how interesting it was, and decided to essentially be my patron, and ordered one at the time. So, and then of course life intervened. Let me play this first, and then I can describe. So this does, I'm actually thinking about taking the fretboard off yet again, and doing it all, like putting a new fretboard on, and doing it right. It's a little narrow. The strings are really narrow on the top. Perfectly fine for my hands, but especially at the nut, the string spacing's like super tight, because otherwise it would fall off the neck. So I'm thinking of redoing some stuff. I can make the fretboard wider and flare it out a bit from the rest of the neck. So and then do a nice rolled fretboard at the end. So I'll widen it out just enough to be able to fit the frets. But this is still, you can tell, it sounds pretty nice. And it's got pretty high output. And then, of course, you cut off the top of my head a bit. What I did do right on this, though, was the structure inside underneath of the neck. Even though I really screwed up badly the routing of it, I went back and fixed it and put in fortified wood and then put in the carbon fiber rods and put the truss rod in. And this thing is actually rock solid. Rock solid. So it sounds really good. Need a little bit of remediation work, but anyway, this is what spawned Barry to reach out and ask me if I would build one for him. So let's put this on mute, unplug this, and put it back where it deserves to sit, which is way back here. Make sure it doesn't tip over. And I'm going to bring out the instrument that I built for Barry. Now, as you can see, significant improvement cosmetically. There is no hole in the top. There's no hole in the back. There's other interesting foibles that happen, but nothing glaring. This thing is, and I'll describe what happened here in a moment. This thing is it has the same pickups, the Abasi Fishman Fluence. I have the volume and tone, 5-position super switch. It is a very nice dark rosewood fretboard. I went with sparse markers because I think it's just looks more chill. But I do have markers on the top that are lumen light. So on a dark stage, as a guitarist, I don't have to, like, if you've ever watched any Porcupine Tree live stuff, you'll see Steven Wilson, as he's seen and trying to find his way on the neck, he'll flip the neck over and look where the markers are. With the glowing lumen light side dots, you don't need to do that. So I've thought ahead. Also, the headstock is nice and thick. I've got the same Steinberger straight pull gearless tuners, and then Graphtec nut, really beautiful gold tone frets. Like I said, it's maple top, alder body, a brass ferrule block. There it is. And then I took the same, I had some material from the top that was cut off when I made this. I had enough to make a pickup cover or a cavity cover. And I also made this little arrowhead and stained them and lacquered them the same way that I did the top. Hip shot This is going to be a 26.5 standard scale, 26.5 not multi-scale, single scale, with a 7 string hip shot bridge. What else? What else can I say about this? If I go to, if you've ever watched Philip McKnight, his YouTube channel, where he reviews guitars and gets into the geeky details of things, he will talk about what he calls the handshake. And the handshake is essentially where the guitar body and the neck join. And the guitar body and neck joint is here. I've gone with a really assertive Axis style, like actually more assertive than the Axis does. It's a really nicely deep carved body and so therefore your handshake where your hand sits is super smooth and it's reasonably well balanced. I think it's pulling down because of the cable, which also means that sitting on a strap, it's not going to dive. Neck dive. And then finally, my best guess is this is about between 6 and 7 pounds. So extremely comfortable to wear. Now, I do have my own normal guitar design that is I think this is tilted a bit. That is sort of an offset double cut. But when I was putting this together, I thought, well, just in case somebody wants to grab like this, I'm going to follow more of a PRS style and make the contour sort of go like this, like a straight line, a curved line. And it turned out really nicely. I think the top is spectacular. The top looks fucking spectacular. The arm cut, the comfort or the drop top, I've been watching or looking at a lot of Carvin or the formerly Carvin, now Kiesel guitars, and they actually are really aggressive, cut through the top, and you can see the bodywood through it. So I thought I'd give that a try, and I think it looks super sharp actually. And they do the same thing where they dye the top and then they cut it, and so you can see the natural color of the maple and then the alder of the back. And then similarly, I have this rib cut because guys like me, it makes it more comfortable. Actually, anybody makes it more comfortable for them. It sits nicely against the body. So enough chatting here. Let's give you a taste of the audio. And again, 5-position super switch, so it's got the same wiring as Tosin Abasi's, the Abasi Concepts, and now his new Ernie Ball. So that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the stereo feed. And then go to 2nd position. 3rd position. 4th. And finally the 5th. And I think that's the identical way that my original 7-string was wired up. Neck is wider, chunkier, and feels, to me, it feels very comfortable. It's not. I tend to, when I carve these things, I tend to make them more Ibanez-y for some reason. Just and I usually continue to go back and test the feel of it throughout the entire time that I'm carving it up. So it ends up feeling really comfortable. I would liken it closer, maybe not an Ibanez. Ibanez has sort of got like this. It's not as shaped like this. It's more like it's steeper on the outsides and then it's flat across the middle, flatter. This is more like my old PRS CE that I had and I really liked, and I had to sell to finance a lot of these things, and so one thing that is a real oddity about this is, as I was putting the frets in, I was pressing them in and then tapping the ends down with a tiny little hammer, non-metallic hammer. I heard this like clack of something falling on the floor, and I look over, and at the time the headstock literally fell off. It cracked right there, but it was a clean break. And I contacted the gods of lutherie, all the people I knew that were really really experienced with this kind of stuff, and asked them how I could go about working this. And they insisted that there was an awful lot of YouTube videos showing that people were putting splines in and doing all sorts of crazy things, and their reasoning was, well, the splines don't really give that much extra strength. They really at all. They just add additional stress points. But if it's a clean break, you should be able to just simply glue it together. And it was at the point where the end of the truss rod was still was beyond the break. So I was able to glue it back on. I let it cure for at least a week. Maybe I could probably say maybe even 2 weeks. The one issue it had was there was a little piece of wood that was a little bit flimsy, and it came off during the gluing, and I didn't want to try and sort of jigsaw it back in. So as I was sanding it, I had a shallow, very shallow divot, like a 16th or a 32nd of an inch. And so I used some black CA glue. And this is the equivalent of, it's a tattoo, you could say. What it does, and then when I got everything all done and I varnished and fixed, I got it all done up, strung it up, and then let it sit. And I let it sit for a couple weeks, and then started to put mucho pressure on it, like actually tension it higher so that the low B was more like a D, and everything was up proportionally up. So I was putting a lot of string tension on it, and no problem. As I was doing it, as I was gluing everything up, I decided I was going to put 2 layers of walnut on the face. There's only originally going to be 1, but I put 2. And took it back, and so that adds a little bit more rigidity. And then the arrowhead was intended to add some sort of torsional stability to it as well. So by putting it up right against the face of where the neck is, and it was kind of covering some of where the joint, the glue joint is. I glued it down, clamped it down nice and solid. It adds additional torsional rigidity to it. So, and it looks pretty. And so you really can't see, the nice thing is you really can't see any of the break. It's nice and solid. It's, I can't feel it. It feels good. And And I've been able to play around with it and do all sorts of cool stuff with it. Now, this guy right here is right now it's either you could see it's either a little bit too thick, or I need to cut down the ledge a little bit. I'm hesitating on both. I think I might just cut the ledge down, because I'm also going to cut the ledge, make an indent over here, because I'm going to put neodymium magnets. I've seen these on the Crimson Guitars, Crimson Custom Guitars site. Ben does these, glues in neodymium magnets on both ends, and it makes it nice and solid. But because there's a battery back here, I want to be able to access it easily. And so I'm going to have a little dip here, so you can push on it, pops up, take the cover off, get at the battery, replace it, and you're off and running to the races again. So that's going to happen here in the next couple of days. The magnets are actually showing up today. So let's we've run through the you can see, love the straight pull tuners. The straight pull tuners have I think I read that they're like a 40-to-1 ratio, which is crazy. And they are really solid and easy to tune. Enjoy. With the Graphtec nut, it's really slick, so I don't have any string binding on the nut and making things really super hard to tune. And this is what it's going to sound like. So, to be able to show you what I'm running through, I wish I could have been able to align the camera to show you, but it's not very possible. It's over here underneath a bunch of stuff. But the rig is pretty simple. It's a Tech 21 RK5 Mark II. The Richie Kotzen fly rig is the centerpiece. It's a Sans amp, so I can get a really, really effective, high quality amplifier tone with a good speaker simulation, cabinet type simulation coming out of it without it calling it a speaker simulation. It's just a solid unit. What I have running from the guitar goes into a Carvin Legacy drive, which is essentially the Steve Vai preamp part of Steve Vai's Legacy amplifier amp head, and it's a 3-channel, or it's 2-channel plus a boost. So it really reminds me of I used to have a Legacy head. Totally loved it. It was, I would call it a combination of a Fender, like a Fender twin reverb or something on the clean channel, and then a Marshall tone on the channel 2, the overdrive channel, and then the Legacy 2 had the boost. The Legacy 1 didn't. I essentially had to run like a treble booster ahead of it. I had a Seymour Duncan treble booster, pickup booster. But this one's it's a 3-channel, and it's and it just sounds spectacular. I mean, listen to this. This is beautiful. I'm just going to see if anybody's. Somebody wants to offer promotion. Huh. No, sorry, guys. Anyways, this sounds. This sounds spectacular. I'm actually even considering ditching my Headrush Prime that I got to replace the Kemper and the Kemper modeler that I had. I really don't need to go to the Headrush Prime. I've got because I have the legacy drive going into the SansAmp, which then also has a Ghost drive in the loop section. Ghost the StewMac Ghost drive is a clone, and it's a spectacular piece of gear. I built it from a kit, and I essentially can use that as a clean boost, or I can overdrive the snot out of it, and it's fairly transparent and really quite versatile. So from there's also a speaker emulation on the legacy drive that I can take a tap out of. I'm not using that right now. The setup here is really simple. I'm literally running through everything and taking the XLR output from the Tech 21 from the SansAmp, and this is what's going into this demo audio mono. The stereo, the 1/4-inch output from the Tech 21 goes into an Eventide H9. That's a spectacularly amazing digital effects unit in a little box. And right now I've just got that set with a chorus, so you can get ridiculous. I'm going to turn that down a bit. Ridiculously thick stereo chorus. Just crazy. If I ever wanted to get that Rockman, I had a Rockman for a little while that I tried to profile for the Headrush. Didn't quite work out very well. But if now in retrospect, I played through the Rockman and I'm playing through this. The way that it's set up right now, I can go out and play like a Def Leppard cover show or Boston. I don't know the song except for the intro. Okay, so that's this baby. It sounds freaking awesome. And Barry, I hope you're watching, or I hope you catch this later, because this is a beautiful beast. It is totally a beautiful beast. It is so nice. Now, I don't know, I've mentioned this in the past, and I know that when I was showing the construction of these things through Facebook, I mentioned that I was also building essentially a twin sister. Well, the twin sister ended up being a bit of a retarded sister. Pardon the language, but it was intended to be another 7-string, but as I was attaching the neck and doing everything, getting this into this body, the bottom part of the neck is a little bit too narrow, literally by like 2 millimeters. And so putting a 7-string bridge on it, the strings would have sort of bled off the sides a little bit. Like they would have been on fret material, but it would not have been pretty. So this became a 6-string baritone. It's same scale length, 26.5-inch Cocobolo fretboard, maple neck, just like the other one. Have again a walnut front face, and then comes all the differences. The top wood is a spalted tamarind, which I realized as I was working with it is both much harder and much softer. The spalting is some of the wood is actually profoundly soft. The density is less, and then you hit the hard stuff, and the hard stuff is just destroyed my chisels and files. That is sitting on top of a black limba back, and then just like with the other one, the control cover is spalted tamarind, and the arrowhead is spalted tamarind. Now, the other addition that I chose to do is a 0 fret for this. Thought I'd give it a try. I have a great admiration for the Framus guitar company, especially after destroying my cousin's John Lennon from the 60s John Lennon model Framus when I was a teenager. Had a 0 fret, and foolishly I pulled it out and totally screwed everything up. I was 14. So I've got a 0 fret, gold tone frets, Graphtec nut, but I'm using this as a retainer, keep things in line. Hip shot locking tuners, 18:1 ratio. Seymour Duncan, Nazgul, and Sentient pickups. These tend to be the favorites amongst most of the 7-string and the baritone 6-string aficionados. Volume tone, 5-position super switch, hip shot bridge. Totally love these things. They're a little spendy, but they're really worth it. Same thing, did the arm cut in the same fashion, so you can see some of the color of the wood here. It's a little bit more aggressive, I guess, in the pitch, and then the rib cut as well. This one I did much better on the ferrules going through, and I think that covers it. Both instruments will eventually get they're going to get the strap locks, and similarly, this is slightly lighter than the other one, but still between 6 and 7 pounds. So how does this sound? And let's go through it. And because this is a baritone 6-string, I strung it up. It's got the same tuned to 4ths, except the minor third, a third on what would be the B string, but it's actually F sharp, and then the high E. High E is a B, so it's B, E, A, D, F sharp, B. So it plays just like. On both instruments, the action is set up really well. As I'm patting myself in the back, but I've set everything up extremely well. All the mistakes from the original 7-string and earlier instruments from that were learned well, and this is a very good instrument. The strings I've gone for a little lighter than what would normally be. Normally it'd be like a 63 on the bottom end and a 12 or 13 on the top end, but I went with a 54 to 10. So 10, 17, 26, 34, 44, 54. Now the feel of this, it's got the same neck profile, maybe a tad chunkier, but it feels a lot more like a classical, like a nylon string guitar. The taper is much less evident. It's a little bit wider down here, but I don't have, like, I usually have an aversion to going to wider string spacing. I did have a Tele once that was a wider string spacing, and it just didn't. It sounded amazing, but it didn't sit very well with me. But this is playing extremely well. And let's go back and do clean tones. That's the second position. Third position. That's the third position. Fourth position. And finally the neck. And I'll remove the that tells me I have 10 minutes to go till my actual meeting. So I'm going to take the last 5 minutes to play this track that I prepared. Now, I think I'm going to, let's do this. And it's not doing what I wanted it to do. Okay, let's just show this. Okay, so this track is got, I've already pre-recorded, I did bass. I've got some, I believe the mono is the baritone. Then we've got 7-string and baritone here. And so I'll play along with that and see how it goes. It's very loud. Yeah. Thanks a lot, folks, for joining me today, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks very much.